There isn't a single word I hate more than
content.
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 Content. Content.
Content.
Content.
Content.
Content.
Content.
Content.
Content. Content. Content.
Content.
Content.
Content.
Content.
Content. Content.
Content.
Content. Content.
it's okay. We don't have to talk. We can sit in silence. There is no sponsor, no hook, no SEO, just silence. Tens, if not hundreds, of thousands of years ago, early humans felt compelled to put their own handprint or rudimentary paintings on cave walls. Once, kids would happily play with a ball made out of an inflated pig's bladder in the street because it was simple fun. Tribal communities played flutes and drums made from animal bone, and all across the world, people told creation myths about the beginning of all things. It is not enough to simply exist. It needs to be meaningful. We have a fundamental, dare I say even biological, need to express and create. Whether or not that's objectively art in the elevated sense is besides the point. It is a crucial, life-affirming part of human existence. We have stories, we have music, we talk to each other, share ideas through song or oral tradition, stone tablets and fax machines, canvas and typewriter. We share ideas, imagine infinitely impossible worlds. We look to the sky and stars, and daydream of faraway places, and all of this creates culture, and thus meaning to our existence. But then, somewhere along the line, things went wrong. Back in my first year of studying game design, I still remember quite clearly at the beginning of the narrative unit, our lecturer posed the question of why people tell stories and, more broadly, share thoughts about themselves, the world. You get the idea. The answer, as we've just gone over, should be self-evident. It is about meaning. During this conversation, we somehow got onto the topic of social media and how that fits into it, and I asked why, if someone posts a picture of their food on Instagram, for example, that has any intrinsic value to it. Remember, this was a game design class and the question rhetorical, so no doubt I annoyed everyone by asking further, but the lecturer responded that yes, that holds equal value too. I fundamentally disagree now as much as I did then. Semantically, yes, a post might have some value, although I'd argue it's more for superficial validation or narcissism for each person posting their latest selfie and the like, but to argue that it's on the same level of storytelling as everything from the Greek playwrights to Dostoevsky, Gaelic folktales to Tolkien, and everything in between, I think is absurd. Not only that, depressing. The idea of distraction, white noise, on social media could be seen as valuable as a fresco painting or live music. And if that makes me sound like an elitist or snob, so be it. It's the principle and integrity that matters, and I'll gladly die on this hill. That's what it means when you stand for something. What it actually is, every time you take a photo with the girls, or a nice-looking latte, or your dick to send to someone who didn't ask for it, or stand in front of traffic or a heavily crowded footpath to take a photo, is not storytelling, but fleeting, meaningless rubbish. Thing is, have a conversation with most people on the street or online today, and that's all they have to offer. If this phenomenon of brain rot is, in fact, real, then it seems we all have a terminal case of it. I started with this anecdote because, really, it's a microcosm of our world, particularly in the digital age, that has got exponentially worse in the years since. Someone posting a picture of their food on Instagram, or that they feel the need to be in the photo of natural wonders, fireworks, and so on, rather than just making that the subject itself, shows that we have been conditioned to no longer care about stories, but content. Content creation. What a depressing thought that is. It is my genuine belief that there isn't anything worse that has happened in all of human history than the creation of the internet. What you and I are currently experiencing right now was a bygone conclusion from the start. Data centers harvesting personal information to sell to the highest bidder, scammers, pedophiles, the amount of people debasing themselves for a bit of ad revenue. We sit not at some big explosive end to all things, but a slow, demoralizing slide into nothing, nihilism. But hey, at least your For You page has something to look at, right? What is it about content that has me feeling so bleak? Well, the answer is twofold. First is the euphemistic nature of the word and the false attempt at legitimacy or appeal to authority. Second, and by far the worst, is stripping the subject matter and everything in your life of all meaning. What are we left with? A drip feed of low-effort garbage and cultural rape that is in a constant struggle for your attention. Not because it has anything worthwhile to say, of course, but because you need to hear about the brand deals. The subscriber count needs to go up. Perhaps an arbitrary number of likes or followers will make that person's life worth living, or their opinion somehow more correct than yours. The door is open though. You don't have to stay on this ride anymore. You can choose to walk away, but it's not that easy, is it? When you've been conditioned to buy into the latest thing, the latest controversy. Man, how did people live without the internet, am I right? Quite well, actually. You'd be amazed how well. All 100,000 plus years of it. I've often wondered what it's like for people who make YouTube videos or stream as a full-time job to walk into a party with other people or catch up with family members. What the expression on others' faces must be when they explain they're a content creator or influencer for a living. Maybe a professional model on a certain website we'll be getting to a bit later. Of course, in the majority of these examples, the person proudly declaring themselves as that has oodles of money to match. So the question would naturally be, why would they care? Scammers in Indian call centers, human traffickers in Eastern Europe, organ harvesting gangs in Africa, soldados in Mexico, and those who have done far worse sleep just fine. So really, why shouldn't your favorite content creator also embrace moral bankruptcy so readily? If you legitimately have this view, or you're a so-called creator yourself, that mindset says a lot more about you than anything else. You exist for this content you put out. Tweets, food reviews, video essays with your little microphone staring sassily at the screen, the latest rage bait that you'll milk for all it's worth. I cannot think of anything worse than being a slave to the algorithm, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what you are, a slave. I hope you enjoy the money, I really do, because one day you'll wake up and ask, what was it all for? More importantly, how much of your soul did it cost in the process? Because when you die, all that money will be gone too. Did you live well, or did you exist solely for this content of yours, be it creator or consumer? How depressing is that? I suppose I've waxed philosophical enough, so I wanted to get into the specifics of just how insidious content has become. There is the quality of it, but this is only superficial. Everyone knows clickbait is bad, AI slop is lazy, tag stuffing and general insufferable behavior is bad, but these things are only a byproduct of the effect content is having on everything. And I do mean everything. Writing, art, the advent of AI, which somehow makes this very content more soulless than ever. You might be thinking it's not that bad, all things considered. Heard of the dead internet theory? That's nothing. No, the Ross runs far deeper. Have you ever wondered why Minecraft is the best-selling video game of all time? Why Jimmy, so-called Mr. Beast Donaldson, has the most subscribers on this little corporate hellhole of ours? Why Disney has been able to brush off financial disaster after financial disaster? Where the hell Roblox suddenly came from to be pushed so hard in the algorithm? Why Miss Rachel or Coco Melon consistently rake in tens of millions of views? Why? Because they specifically target children. All this time, so many big budget studios were chasing highbrow, mature art, the Schindler's List of video games, or the Citizen Kane of Instagram reels, when the easiest and most profitable audience of all was right in front of us all along: children. Best of all, you get the parents, maybe even the whole family, coming along to the movie theatre or to play the Switch with. Children are the financial target companies keep coming back to. They are the proven golden goose. After all, it's not your problem if they get their hands on their parents' credit card. For the first time in human history, we are seeing the next generation grow up and face the consequences of the digital environment we created. I have no interest in reading off dry statistics to you in this video or pulling up charts because you already know the numbers. Literacy rates worldwide are plummeting. There is a proven correlation between screen time and ADHD. Many young people now struggle with something as basic as how to read a clock. Now it's going to get so much worse. Why open a textbook or try to learn anything when you can just get ChatGPT to answer for you? People in university now are struggling to read full novels. They don't understand basic English language to a primary school level. I was once the only person in a degree to have a notebook and pen because that's how I'd been taught. The rest were so obviously opening ChatGPT or on social media during class. It may sound to you like this is skirting the line of moral panic, but ask yourself this: do you think children should be given free rein as adults have? That the bright lights and pretty colors of gambling ads or a suspicious link from that weird adult man that's reached out to your kid over Snapchat is having no effect on them? Had you grown up in the same conditions they do now, do you really believe your life would have been all the better for it? Of course not. Genuinely, think of the children. Doubly so if you're a parent. Child pageants were once looked at as strange novelties, at least from the time I remember. But what we are seeing with content strategies and family-centered channels is, for all intents and purposes, the exact same thing. I will gladly stand up and say something controversial, but children should not be on the internet, period. Don't half-ass it and blur their faces when you're sharing family pictures on Facebook or Instagram. Don't talk about them. Don't allow them to play online games. Don't give them unrestricted phone access, or a phone at all, ideally, especially if they're still very young. Every time I see a tiny kid with an iPad in hand, I die a little. You're not allowed to be a kid anymore. You've become another empty vessel for content. God, it's so fucking depressing. It makes me sick. Infamous cases such as Ryan's World or 8 Passengers seem to be spoken about as aberrations, as if they're bad luck. But again, whatever terrible consequences we as adults are currently grappling with, children have it so much worse. I don't blame these kids at all, of course. I was once their age too, getting rickrolled in the early days of YouTube when I wanted to watch Batman or something, or the only time I ever went into PvP and lost all my gold in RuneScape. But you have to stop them. Never put their face online. Do not say their name or where you live. This is the one most important rule that is lost on so many people. Once something is up on the internet, you have to understand that it'll be there forever. Anyone can theoretically copy it, download it, and unfortunately feeding it into AI generation for their own sick purposes as well. As terrible as it is, as hypocritical as it is to now say they shouldn't have that same freedom that we once did growing up, it is a necessary evil. The internet and the world along with it has changed. Not for the better, and you have to do it. The consequences are far worse than the prevention. Take that phone away from your 10-year-old daughter. There is no reason she should have an Instagram at her age and be looking like jailbait to pedo freaks. Get them off Discord right now before they get groomed by furries or bronies or some other degenerate subculture that should be doing a Kurt Cobain or Ian Curtis to save us all the hassle. I have nothing but sympathy for kids who have been put through this content creation pipeline by their irresponsible and, frankly, awful parents. The worst we once had to deal with was Justin Bieber and the like. Now kids are getting online younger and younger. They're being conditioned by trends and everything they consume online because they don't know any better. Their brains aren't prepared for it. And whether it's Jimmy Donaldson's latest creatively bankrupt carnival of misery, or a stranger trying to get them into that private call when your kid was just trying to play a game with friends, children have and will continue to bear the brunt of content and its many immeasurable consequences. People are not content. I, at the very least, still have to believe that we are human, complex, emotional beings, and children, most of all, do not deserve to be thrown to the wolves. If this is getting up on a soapbox, so be it, but it's important. Do the right thing, and be a good parent for once. You may not be able to shield them from all the wrong and suffering in the world, but at the very least, you can have the due diligence to allow them to just be kids, not an expendable tool to boost your metrics. I want to circle back around to what I was saying earlier about education rates and the insidious nature of content as we know it. Videos, tweets, Tumblr posts, jerking yourselves off on Reddit or 4chan or Discord or Kiwi Farms, any of that jazz. You are just as susceptible as anyone else to the destruction of language. You know what I'm talking about. The unaliving in Minecraft, essayed, and not the kind you'd see in an English exam. It's not pedophilia, silly. It's lollipop, grape. Hell, why bother saying anything at all when emojis will suffice? Isn't that just so funny and meta? But I don't want to say it, guys. Honest, I just don't have enough of a spine to stick by my principles because I really just want that ad revenue instead. I won't spend too much time on this section because it's something I've been into plenty of detail about before, but another side effect of the content sludge and ad-friendly baby speak overtaking everything has been the blatant dumbing down of language. Shorthand on forums and the like is one thing, but even when I was a teenager, it was starting to get bad, and the world of today is noticeably worse. There's the obvious examples like incel, woke, fascist, etc. entering common usage despite the fact they've been utterly stripped of all context and meaning already. The omnipresence of social media in most people's lives now means you may have people close to you that are actively changing or policing the way they think or talk, whether that's because they live stream or clip or whatever themselves, or it's because they have become little more than an empty vessel, a summation of the parasocial things they consume. The results speak for themselves. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Rape is a bad word because guess what? It's a bad thing. Of course, it has a negative connotation. Suicide, pedophilia, abuse, murder, kill, death, simple nouns or verbs that only have as much power as you choose to give them. But every time you watch a video where someone's bleeped it out, or they lower themselves to using baby speak because they're either too stupid or too greedy to risk doing otherwise, you are participating in the destruction of language. Let rip. Don't be a coward, because words have power and they have meaning. Don't make the very way we communicate go the same way as the rest of the world, because that's exactly what this demoralizing, amoral cesspit we exist in today wants to happen. It's also okay to offend people. Be racist. Be problematic. Don't let anyone tell you how to live. No one is saying we all have to be friends. Don't be scared, because I would much rather you have a spine. That's far more important than a brand deal. While I'm here, and to round out this section, I'll also take this opportunity to remind everyone that free speech is absolute and universal, not just for those you agree with. That does not, however, mean freedom from consequences. Are you struggling to pay the bills? Feel like you've been trapped in a dead-end job? Forget the hustle of 9 to 5. How about spreading your asshole on OnlyFans, or grinding on a tentacle-shaped dildo for some of those sweet, sweet donations? Become an e-prostitute with the full knowledge that porn of you in your lowest and most degrading moments is going to be up on the internet forever. Not unlike how society is funneling children into the content pipeline. I find it frankly alarming, the prevalence of women across the world, especially teenagers barely at the legal age, making the life-ruining decision to become porn stars, adult entertainers, nude models, whatever we're calling it nowadays. It saddens me that, again, the majority of these women fail to understand that this will be out there forever. It could be viewed by their children years down the line, shared around high school for those same kids to get laughed at and bullied because their parents are naked for everyone to see, that they were so narrow-minded to not understand what porn culture would do to the rest of their life. All of that for a bit of money. Do you seriously think the majority of these men and women are making even a living wage? Because they're not. It's so depressing. Just like the videos flooding all corners of the internet, the fantasy of content, NSFW or otherwise, doesn't live up to the reality. Is this life the one you really want to live? And if these creators do get out of the industry, although calling it something as formal as an industry is certainly a stretch, these women will walk around for the rest of their life with that anxiety always at the back of their mind. What if that person at their next job interview has seen them naked? What happens if they need to go for a background check? What'll happen if they try and date someone normal, always worried that they're just going to see you as nothing more than an object, like the very pay pigs you once cashed in on? This barely touches on the ramifications of adult content becoming so prevalent online. The videos, images, or live streams these people create is bad enough, but the fact they so readily go on alpha male, red pill, manosphere podcasts to boost their reach by interacting with the very people that hate yet equally profit off them, or try and sell this fantasy of being rich and empowered to the next generation of young girls is so utterly disgusting and reprehensible. OnlyFans, Pornhub, and all the other sick shit floating around on the internet out there is not just fantasy for entertainment, it's actively harming everyone involved. The cop-out here would be that, oh, porn exists, it'll always exist, and we should just live and let live. While I certainly have thoughts about what people jack off to, and I'll gladly yuck anyone's yum if you're a degenerate freak that should either be in serious therapy or behind bars, do you not see the correlation between the push for content, for attention, for the next big thing, and the effect that's having on the people selling their bodies online too? These creators end up chasing that same dragon as the people consuming it, and thus it gets more degrading and extreme. On the one hand, I feel nothing but empathy for these men and women, that I want to know what's happened in your life that would lead you to the point of thinking this is a good idea, and to grab you by the arms and shake you to try and get through to you the lifelong consequences of posting yourself online. Porn is one thing, but like everything nowadays, that has become its own soulless form of content too. Finally, in a different direction now, I want you to imagine something for me. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Picture the most important person in your life. Maybe it's your spouse, your grandmother or grandfather with the soul food of a home-cooked meal, your best friend that was always there for you in school. Maybe it's your only child, however old, that you would give up life itself to protect. That feeling you're experiencing right now is deeply rooted in not just who you are, but a psychosocial and biological drive for connection. We are social creatures, so it is important to find friends and family we cherish. Still with this person at the front of your mind, I now want you to do something a little different. Imagine you're scrolling through YouTube one night and you come across body cam footage of the person who raped and murdered that same person you love. You scroll down and the video's raked in millions of views. Unimaginable trauma for you has been turned into just another entry in the content machine. People might even be making jokes in the comments, like they're throwing popcorn in a movie theater. The worst day of your life is publicly available for everyone to see, and now you can't sleep at night knowing the body cam footage is playing over and over and over again in your head. Welcome to the moral bankruptcy and endless race to the bottom that is true crime. I want to make it clear that at first I wasn't any better than the rest of you. I fell into the true crime subgenre a couple of years back, maybe 2 or 3, I don't remember exactly when. Like most people, I'm fascinated by interrogation footage in particular. Rather than the details of the crime, it's more seeing what makes people tick and the verbal sparring matches, so to speak. But you know, the saturation of it all, the endless, fatiguing misery, and the slew of AI slop treating real people's stories and real victims as an easy way to make a quick buck finally shattered that illusion. What a damning indictment on society and the shitty situation that the internet exists in today, that footage is readily available of the very worst humanity has to offer, all neatly packaged and ad-friendly to be swept up by the masses. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the clickbait that's the issue. It's not chasing the latest thumbnail meta, search engine optimization, AI slop, overtaking everything, obnoxious editing with a jump cut every second and the subtitles on screen. It's not the commentary channels desperate to milk the latest controversy for all it's worth. It's not the sellouts trying to get you to buy into their sponsors' garbage. It's not the lack of competition and innovation as everything becomes just as homogenized and soulless as everything else. No, the worst part of this plague we call content today, it's the moral degradation of it all. The fact it's so blatant and so many people are willing to rub your face in the shit for a bit of money. The majority of true crime podcasts, videos, whatever form it takes, comes out of America, as most states seem to make the footage available either for free or a small cost to the local department. Being Australian, I can't imagine what it must be like either for the people who lived through it or the family members of victims and survivors to know that footage of your dead loved one, their body blurred out, is floating around out there for people to excitedly watch, or that whoever's running these various channels and podcasts didn't even have the decency to voice it themselves, and instead used AI to tell the story you experienced firsthand. There are just some things we do not need to see. The worst of the lot, however, is channels like The Misery Machine, and how they delight in suffering and exploitation just to get your attention, utterly bereft of empathy and tact. I cannot convey how repugnant these people doing this are, but anything goes on the thumbnail, right? So far, I've deliberately avoided naming specific channels or people because this is more focused on the overarching meta, if you like, and looking at the circumstances and society as it exists today that has led us to this awful point. When I think of everything wrong with true crime, however, and how YouTube exploits the suffering of others despite its broken moderation and claim to being family friendly, it's channels like The Misery Machine and putting in all caps what happened to the victim in the thumbnail that comes to mind. Most of them children. Are you so utterly lacking in basic decency and respect for the family, friends, and victims to not give them the privacy, time, and space to heal and move on? No, because it's all easy content, baby. Nothing is off the table, and there is no low we won't sink to, I guess. I don't want to give these channels any more attention than they deserve. They really are scraping the bottom of the barrel, so instead, I'll read off some examples of what these scumbags have written to try and get your attention. Again, I want you to go back to the beginning and think about what it'd feel like if you were the one in this position to know that people were saying this kind of thing about your loved ones. All caps. The kitty cannibal. They strung her up like meat, with an exclamation mark at the end. She slit baby's throat. Duct tape into hot dog crate. Rat dad wanted to eat her. Incest daddy slays them for trying to escape. All in caps, by the way. I could go on, but you get the idea. The defense that many of these channels use is that they're just raising awareness, that really these videos are meant to be educational and shed light on failures of child protection or the State Department or whatever it is. If you're really lucky, maybe they'll start up a token GoFundMe for you to give your money to, or throw a fraction of the ad revenue they generated towards helping the victim after they've finished thoroughly exploiting their suffering. Maybe it's just me, but all that rings a bit hollow when the same dour lighting, the soft voice, is paired with lows that not even tabloid media at its very worst would sink to. All caps. Deliberately provocative titles. The people making this content are the worst of the worst. Go fuck yourself. I don't understand how you can stand to look in the mirror. You disgust me. By now, some of you have probably dismissed this as unk slop, not very 6'7", that I'm not part of the Gucci gang, that I'm not living up to the complex socio-political philosophy of Hawk Tour, that I need to yeet myself off the internet over 9,000 times. I'm not algorithm maxing, too caught up on Doomer, Zoomer, Kuma, red pill, white pill, over the Irish sea pill, slop kino based, and it's all not very fleek. That's okay. I don't blame you for your inability to pay attention or to try and better yourself as something more than just the sum of viral videos and clickbait you consume. For the rest of you, for the people feeling increasingly alienated and despair over content, the sludge, the distractions that you don't want to buy into the noise, you've already taken the first step. You're thinking critically and you're looking outside the box, the bars, the paid promotion and sponsorship. I also don't blame you if you keep falling back into it. Like crabs in a bucket. To be online nowadays, to frankly any degree, the distractions feel so easy to be pulled back into because this is exactly how the systems are designed to work, especially when the walls come down and every aspect of modern life feels like it has an ulterior motive to it, a revenue stream, a monetization program. What if, perchance, you don't want to get that bag, Queen? What then? Why is there increasingly fewer and fewer alternatives to plugging in and phasing out? Because the algorithm is working against you and me and everyone. Ultimately, this video will be lost in the same white noise because it too only feeds back into the machine. I don't know if you specifically will ever watch it, that you've made it this far enough to hear me out, but I hope, even just for a moment, that it's been enough to open someone's eyes. Do you know why you're feeling so miserable and disconnected? Why you feel nothing as you doom scroll late at night? Because some part of you, the tiniest voice voice at the back of your mind recognizes that all this is a waste of time, utterly vapid, meaningless, safe and sterile garbage that treats you as a source of revenue. Pay attention to that voice. Go outside and find things to do beyond the gaming sphere. Go for a walk. Breathe real, fresh air. And step by step, you're going to overcome that feeling of burnout when you stop living from YouTube video to YouTube video. The momentary dopamine hit when your favorite low-life streamer reads your comment. That smug feeling of satisfaction when you get to talk down to someone on Discord. At the end of the day, I am not a content creator. I am just a guy with a YouTube channel, and I'm no different than the rest of you. My opinion, no more valid. We are living in the age of noise. It is designed to drown everything out, to stop you thinking and stop you feeling. That is not living. Reject it and learn to live again, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find existence all the more meaningful as a result. Most of all, make art, not content. The language you use matters. Don't become a husk for corporate machines.